Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you today. We have Calvin Nelson's 1981 Fairmont wagon with only 26,000 original miles. Excuse the interior passenger seat there, it's not done. He just finished this car and wants to take it on drag week and brought it over to the dyno to have a little bit of keyboard tickling done. This is a beautiful car. Him and his dad are very talented. Check out the battery underneath and the shutoff. It has a Ford 9-inch with like 318 gears. That's a 28-inch tire. This is a newer LY6 engine, so it's a Gen 4 and has square ports. That's the stock truck intake, the stock truck electronic throttle. It's running twin cast 7875 VS Racing turbos and some random intercoolers he put together. It has two separate intercoolers for the front end. It's running stock manifolds for the exhaust also. He built the turbo kit and everything obviously himself. Most of the other stuff is completely stock. The stock fuel tank, it's using a TH400 with a JEGS converter that Dario hinted us to that works really well with higher horsepower 3,000 pound setups. So he's trying that out. It's got a TH400 like I said, and it has the stock tank with twin 450 Walbros in it and a 10 stainless hardline feed, which you can only see as like a soft hose in the engine bay there. And then it's going into Snake Eater 1500s. It's got stock coils. It's got a BR7 EF NGK plugs, and it's running on a Terminator X Max for the drive-by-wire. And he plans on also playing some games and wiring in the speed sensors for front and rear wheels in as a transmission option to do a sort of homemade traction control for the electronic throttle. So without further ado, we'll get straight to making some ponies and seeing how the car goes. Maybe we all can try to. Well, let's see what it does, huh? Nope. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the after show. Here we go. So we have the logs and we have the dyno hits here and we have the tune as I ended up. So let's take a look at the first hit. We just rolled into it to see what would happen. And that's right about here. This is where all the action happened. And you can see, yep, came up about 3,000. What's pretty cool is this thing lights off. It makes a pound at 4,000, which is pretty good. And then by 48 or 5,000, it's on wastegate. So these wastegate springs are pretty light. So a little bit of back pressure happens. It made 3.3 pounds peak, and then it fell off to about 2.5. And what else do we got here? We got 20 degrees of timing. There was an issue we ran into earlier, which some of the people on Terminator forums are running into, where it was pulling even though there were zeros in the coolant temp and the inlet temp spark table, it was pulling it out. So this is approximately where first hit 3 psi, and then where's the other one? 10 duty cycle, no change. So this was technically the same thing. 3.3, 2.7, yeah, same exact thing. So these first two hits were about 430 rear wheel. That's what it makes on, 2.5, 3 psi. So then we just slowly worked our way up, and I punched in 20% duty, and it started to make 4 psi. So quick note, Calvin has a 2.5 pound wastegate spring and a 4-port boost controller hooked up to a straight duty cycle output, not closed loop or anything fancy like I'm using. So if you look here, 4.3 pounds, and then it fell off to 3.5 pounds. So, and then inlet temp, very good. Ignition was lower than we thought it would be once we started pouring on some steam. Everything else was looking good. First couple times I only wound it out to like 5,800 or 6,000. I didn't want to, really wing the thing until we ironed out some details. So this was 4 pounds, and we picked up like 30 rear wheel on a pound. So that was promising. And then what's this guy? Number 4. I think they're all numbered correctly. 4 is, yep, okay, that makes sense. 4 is 30% duty cycle. And we made 5.3, and then it fell off to 4.6. So that was 489 at 5 pounds. This was similar. This is where the ignition stuff was happening. If you look at a bunch of these, we made 500, and then we made 502, and we turned the boost up. And then eventually, I zeroed out the tables. Let's see what this is. Number 7, it's number 8 actually, because this starts with a 0. So number 8, see 7 pounds made less power because this is where I wrote ignition test. This is where it was giving us problems. If you take a look, we'll just take a quick gander. if we take a look here, the amount of ignition only 15 degrees, much less than we wanted. So by 8, we got that ironed out and we got some boost in it. 7 pounds, made 560 wheel. A little bit longer log here, excuse me. So now, 7 PSI, 7.7 peak. I wonder if I zoom in to here, if it'll give me an average of just this time. Will it give me an average? It says ignition timing up here. Can't I just change that? I'm always thinking about ways to just do this. Anyway, let's back out too. Here we go. So up on here, 7 pounds, 7.4, 7.6. Very, very fluid there. And 18 degrees, 100%, 100 degree inlet temp, pretty much what it was all day. 200 degree coolant temp, pretty much what that was all day. At some point, messing around in the engine bay, he has the relays with the fuse shoved into the top, like EFI Source has. And one of us knocked the fuse out, so we didn't have a fan for a while. And we were like, why is this thing getting hot all of a sudden? I hope we didn't hurt it. Yeah, it was the fuse had just gone AWOL. Anyway, let's keep moving on. So that was number 9 here. I think I just bumped the boost controller, so it made 620. So that's dyno run number 8, and it's going to be data log number 9, 606 at 9 PSI. So if we look here, we keep marching on. Everything is looking really good. 9.7 pounds here. 100 degree inlet, 200 degree water temp. So 9 pounds, 17 degrees, made 620. Very good. So right now we're going to hit close all, and we're going to go back to 620 and then 670. So dyno pull number 10. That's this guy, 660. I don't know why it's defaulting to monitor 1. We'll all just deal with it, right? 12 pounds, 16 degrees. Fuel pressure, at some point fuel pressure gave us an issue, but we were just running low in the tank. You know, stuff like that happens, guys. 6,500, everything else looks good. So 12 pounds, made 672. And then, yes, I think I bumped the degree and the boost controller a bump. So that's number 11. Yep, 750. No, that's the 723. That's this one right here. What, here we go. I got the log file right here. 723 wheel was 15 pounds, 15 degrees, which we were still being safe as we just worked up on boost. I would run pump gas 15-15 on an appropriate setup that really likes it. That would be fine. And this is where fuel pressure was dropping and duty cycle was coming through the roof, as you can see. So this is where we started noticing like weird stuff with the fuel, and we're like, maybe we should put a bunch of fuel in the tank. So we did, and then the issue went away. As you'll see, there's plenty of duty cycle left. So number 11, 766, we ironed it out. So this is number 12 is 770. Yep. They're off by 1 digit. Maybe I'll start the dyno on number 1 next time. As we see here, we have good fuel pressure. As we see here, we have appropriate duty cycle. So 17 pounds and 15 degrees, and we made 770. And I believe right around 8 or 9, 800-ish. It got to 800 with pretty conservative amount of ignition. 790. This must be playing with fuel and ignition right here. 850. Okay, here we go. That is number 15. So if we look at the log, we went right to 15, and that was the 830. So that's the 1 less. Yep, my math is 1 less. So what do we run here? As you can see, fuel pressure is still good. 69 PSI, 100, 200 all day. This was 19 pounds, 19.6 PSI, and 16 degrees. So excellent. Really, really very good. Very pleased with that. Making some good jam, some steam, whatever you kids are calling it these days. So that was 850, and I think I mentioned in the video, funny enough, Calvin just finished. This is a drag week car, so he's like, you know, I don't want to push really hard My goal was 700 and then maybe lean on it throughout the event. So what do we make here? 890. And that was, so that's log number 14. No, it's log number 15. Yeah, it's this guy right here. What do we make here, boosty wise? Everyone's asking when the boost comes in. A little bit tough because the converter comes up pretty quickly once boost starts coming in. But this thing also, you know, just to keep the bottom end alive, you know, it's kind of nice. They're a little bit big on turbo, but a turbo auto, it's just going to come up and sit in that 6,000 range pretty easily. So what do we got here? 20 pounds. And where are we at? 20 pounds, 17 degrees. 17 degrees. And then we got 190 coolant, 110 Fahrenheit, and it made 878. And then I think on one of these, we did clear 9. We made 930 here. Right around here, 930, 940, we started running into a little bit of an ignition breakup, and we gapped the plugs down. Like, this one's not that healthy. And then we messed around with moving the ignition and fuel a little bit. And then ended up with just these last few, just really trying to... We pushed on, right here was a degree or two, and then this was a degree. And it's just not gaining enough with that ignition, and the spark plug showed the same story. So we weren't going to push. So, you know, he'll just have to, as I always love delivering this line, I can't stop saying it, he's just going to have to live with 950 rear wheel for right now. If he has a 2.5 pound spring, obviously with the 4-port, he has effectively gotten 10 times the amount of boost. So he has an incredible working range. If we close all of them and we go to... and we show the difference he can make in power, it's phenomenal. So he can utilize, you know, anything between here and there. It's very nice. So if he wants to, after drag week and everything else is good, he could put in a 5 pound spring and maybe we could get 30 pounds out of it. And if they keep gaining, we could make 1,050 or 1,100 probably. Now, if he went to billet turbos, they would probably light up really well also. These are only the cast units. And the billets would pick up some power and everything else, yada, yada, yada. So let's go to when we were leaning on it. It made 936 SAE, and on my computer here it's set to standard. It's hard to change it. So that's the slight discrepancy you guys are seeing between what I have written and here. Yeah, it just kept making boosts. Maybe we should have loaded it more, but I was already swinging it and we were already pushing the limit, so I didn't want to load it for any longer than we had to. But this was our glory pass. I tried to get all I could, so 25 pounds peak. I threw a bunch of fuel in the table up top. We were nervous about how far the fuel pumps would go, but this 73 pounds of fuel pressure here tells us the story that the pumps are okay. So we can take a little bit of fuel out, but like I said to him, see how it does after you make it all the way down the track. I'd rather have the extra fuel there. And this was what, 25 pounds, 17.5 degrees. Inlet temp was actually just finally starting to come up. And coolant temp is still good, still fine. So, and this was pump like 68% ethanol, and that's where we just messing with ignition and everything was starting to run out of turbo. So it's also just cool to note that this is a completely sealed LY6 with a $200 cam and $100 valve springs in it, and he just wanted to see how it would do. Obviously people made a million comments right away like it should make more power, and this is dumb, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't see a whole lot of them posting it's basically a $1,200 complete long block engine package. He has the stock intake, the stock manifolds, the stock throttle body, and like I said, a $200 cam and valve springs were $100. So he has about $1,300 into the entire long block, including manifolds, throttle, and intake. You know, we can debate this all we want. Some people do it better for cheaper, but geez, that's pretty incredible. So I'll leave you guys with that. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you liked the data overlay. And that's all.